Oh
This
yeah,
is
we're
Julia
live.
Davis of Yoga Teachers Forum, and I'm here with Cathy Underwood of
Hello.
Yoga Teachers North London, Enfield and Barnet. Hi Cathy.
Hi Julia, lovely to see you here.
We've been having chats over this lovely time that we've been having since March about what it feels like to be teaching at this time. And Cathy, I can see that you're in your yoga studio. How has it felt to teach from a space without students in it?
It's a very strange feeling. It's a very strange feeling. And it's been quite lonely, but I think as with most yoga teachers, we've kind of just had to put our thinking caps on. And if we have got a space, whether it's the front room or a bedroom, I know that a lot of my pals have been clearing those spaces and, you know, using it as a filming opportunity so they can still connect with their client base. Very, very important right now that we do that. So yeah, fortuitously, I built this last August for some of my private clients to come and work and practice with me. And thank goodness, really, because it's become my yoga studio, but I mean, like a film studio. I've got cameras and tripods and microphones, you name it. But it's just been such a great way, thank God for Zoom, to be able to keep my client base going. I'm still teaching, which is fantastic. It's kept my head on my shoulders, and yeah, been really good to be able to connect and meet other people and other teachers like yourself. You know, we've finally been able to connect via the internet and maybe, you know, bring some other teachers together and get to know what we're doing and support one another. I think that's really important, and I know that's something that you're doing right now as well.
Yeah, so I found it a huge learning curve. I can't imagine that there's a yoga teacher that hasn't. This space that I'm in right now, I've been very lucky that I've been able to teach via Zoom from this space. But before all this happened, this space with my students in it was my home, my happy place, the place that I would come to feel joyful, connected, where I could practice movement with people, meditation with people, sound. I absolutely loved it. And when everything went online, I felt I'd lost something very, very precious. And it allowed me to feel how much I love my in-person practice with other people, and maybe how much I got from it. It's like, you know, I got almost as much from my students as they did from me from being physically with them. And I've built up my practice as a daytime practice. So I don't generally teach weekends or evenings. And my student base was very much people who are self-employed with young families living locally. And those people have found themselves teaching their children from home while running a business, and they haven't had any kind of a space like this. So there's one thing saying, as a teacher, people have moved their furniture around and made space in order to teach. It's a whole different ask for people who have got massive populations in their homes, of baby children under the age of 11. And it's been a bit heart-wrenching that I haven't been able to support those people in the way that I might like to, because here's their sanctuary. And in a home with their children and their dogs and their partners isn't the sanctuary that they can create. Having said that, it has proven an amazing space for people at the vulnerable edges of society. So anybody living on their own, then these yoga classes have been a lifeline for those people. People over the age of 60 who are vulnerable groups, those people who received the letters through the post saying, you cannot move from your front door, which is pretty much what people who are shielding were told, you can't move. So they've had that. And I've been able to provide classes to some people. I know the friends of who I have who teach those demographics have found their numbers soaring, and certainly have maintained the numbers of people coming. And what I found in my teaching is that I've kind of, at least if you're teaching a class on Zoom, you can record it, you can send it to people, you can let people know that you're there for them however you can be there for them. And the support that I've seen coming through for yoga teachers, I've seen many yoga teachers during lockdown, because through the Teachers Forum on a Wednesday afternoon once a month, I've gathered with other teachers, and that feeling of support has been fantastic. And there have been other ways yoga teachers have really found each other in these times, and we've really maybe appreciated each other more than we ever have. It's a very lonely profession in some ways, and it's heartwarming to see, people like you and I finding each other. And you've certainly been a pillar of strength for me in times of wobble, and my goodness, have I wobbled.
Well, I mean, I think that's absolutely normal, and everybody is wobbling. We're all wobbling, so we must talk. The most important thing is our method of communication has changed so drastically that talking, actually picking up the phone, doing this kind of conversation where it's live and you're able to have that interaction. Because I also think that there's some feedback that I've got from my participants is very much, and I say participants, but they're my friends, like you. I've created friendships in my class. They may be people who come do yoga with me, but they keep me company just as much. It's a two-way street. But yeah, the conversation is really important. I don't know about you, but pre-recorded classes versus live classes are very different experience. If we can't meet in person, I think the live classes are really valuable because of that conversation element, that you can actually say, oh, so-and-so, put your arm there, or just relax in this position a little bit more, and then talk to me after class. I like to catch up with my members after class and just say, oh, can we have 5 minutes just to have a little chat and catch up and see how you're doing? So I think that's really important, especially for our mental health, because I think our mental health is being really tested right now, and that's an area that I'm really, really fascinated by. And I wonder how this virus will affect it, really.
Yeah, that is a very valid point. It's nice to be able to send our classes off to those people who have had technological glitches and haven't been able to be with us. But absolutely, the valuable parts of the class have been, at the beginning of every class that I do, we settle and then we check in. And those check-ins give people a chance to vocalize where they're at. I use the seasons as a kind of way of doing that, because sometimes people don't want to say I'm feeling really rubbish today, or they're like, oh, I'm feeling a bit wintry, or I'm feeling a bit spring-like, and it fits in with the menstrual cycle, the seasons and all of that. And then also I've loved sharing the breathing practices and the relaxation practices, because it's really nice to check, and actually things like balancing as well. There's, when you've got various practices, and then you can check in. So, well, how was that for you? And did you feel that? We do that in class anyway. It is really lovely, though, to give people the chance to say what works for them, what doesn't work for them, how their body feels in the practice, and to interact. Absolutely. There's a very big difference between that and a recorded class, which is kind of why we love teaching. We don't just make videos and send them out to people.
Yeah, no, definitely. I'd be really interested, on people who might be watching this video. I'd be really interested to know how they're coping during this time. And if there's anyone on Facebook right now listening, and you're a teacher, or maybe even if you're a participant, how you're finding it, how you're finding this experience. I did a little survey with my groups, and a lot of them actually said it's fantastic to do it in our own home. I could just put the kettle on, roll in from work, put my mat down, get changed, have a cup of tea, and then do my yoga practice. And I don't have to think about traveling to and from. So there's real benefits. And some of my members are all dotted around the country as well, but people all over the place. And that's really fantastic, because I feel like I'm able to invite them into my space and offer them, some great tools from our yoga practice that they can use during this time. Yeah, so I'd be really interested to find out what other people are experiencing and the sort of support that perhaps they want, because I know that's something you've been doing a lot of, and yeah, supporting other teachers.
I think it now has been a really good time for us to take stock. I'm very lucky in that I do step out of my front door every time I teach a class, because my studio is right next to my front door. But it takes a huge amount of effort to travel from class to class. And how are we feeling in ourselves when we do that? What, sitting down and making the calculation of how much do I need to earn to keep a roof over my head and to support myself and maybe my family? And how do I keep my love of my practice and find space for that? And what is my practice and what is my teaching? And maybe having this time, I've even noticed that with the classes that I teach, even though I teach right outside my front door, it's like you get that space and it gives you the space to ask that question. How much do I love going from place to place teaching? How much do I love maybe teaching people that are new in the class every week, rather than teaching a community that you get to know and love? I adore teaching a community that I've got to know and love. Even the people that I haven't been able to teach because they've got their 3 children under the age of 10 with them, I've seen them out walking and they feel like my family to some degree. So I think, Cathy, we both feel a passion for our local community, and we know that there's a huge community of yoga teachers in North London, Enfield and Barnet, and we'd like to reach out to you guys, and we'd love to know what your experience is. And we're meeting via Zoom, which means that you can just not have to step out of your front door, which is lovely, on the 15th of July. It's in conjunction with the Yoga Teachers Forum. That's something I set up about 2 or 3 years ago. The meetings had always previously been in North London, so it was very much with a view to the London community. And what we're going to have a space for is a discussion around where we're at with our yoga businesses, whether we are ready to throw in the towel or whether we feel galvanized to support a particular group of people that we've really felt able to hold in this time. All the challenges that we've been facing, there are going to be yoga businesses that are really hurting at this time as well. We'd like to feel that we're a space for you to feel heard and as well. And then within the context of that, Nick Stollerman's going to be with us, and he is a Kundalini practitioner, and he runs his gong every month in this studio normally, and the gong is just I love it. I absolutely love it. He's been doing it via Facebook, which has been a slightly different experience, but the way that he shares mindfulness practices is really lovely. And when we meet, you can get a taste for what Kundalini feels like, or if it's already a practice that you're very used to and it feels comfortable for you, you can join with that too. The meetings that we have always contain quite a strong element of practice as well. And when we meet, we'll have we'll feel into how we're feeling. We're feely people. So we'll do that.
We're going to touch the screen, touchy-feely.
I know. But Cathy, I wonder whether you might be able to say something about maybe what your vision is for our yoga community in North London.
Oh, well, I would like very much for us to come together at this really important time. I love the idea of the Finchley Forum coming together with Enfield and Barnet, and really sharing and supporting one another. I think, the time has gone now for teachers to worry about whether this teacher's doing that or that teacher's doing this in their area. It's now time for us to sort of build a strong community, just as we do with our groups. And not to be afraid to ask questions and, ponder about certain aspects of our business that's working and things that aren't working, and how we can connect with one another and say, listen, I've got these skills. I can give you some advice and I can support you on your journey which, let's face it, that's why we're yoga teachers, right? To support our community and support one another. So I think it's going to be fantastic. My vision is very much about that. Let's bring the yoga community together. I think, Julia, you're doing a wonderful job of doing that. And if I can support you, I will 100%. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so we will post a link so that you can join us 1:30 till 3:30 next Wednesday. And very much, we are all about us being able to follow our heart's calling. So I do not know a yoga teacher out there who hasn't chosen to do it because of some kind of feeling in their heart that they love a practice and they would love to share that practice with others. And when we choose to do that, we often don't take the step of thinking about being sole practitioners and being business people at the same time, and being able to need to support ourselves financially, emotionally, and every other way. So Cathy does this brilliantly. Cathy is currently, I'm not quite sure what your qualification is. You've already got lots of qualifications in yoga and mental health, and I know you're doing another one and writing lots of essays at the moment, and you found a paper that you'd written that was that everyone in your class had to read.
I want to tell the whole world.
Isn't that wonderful?
I told my mum, because when I was growing up at school, I was probably dyslexic, you know, I couldn't spell for toffee, and now I'm writing articles, and one of my papers got published on the course that I'm taking, which is, yeah, it's brilliant. She's made her day, you know. She can die happy now. Yeah. But yeah, so, you know, that's the other thing. Never say never. Life is a wonderful journey, and we can start all over in a blink of an eye. We can start over, and we can create some really great positive things for ourselves, our families, and our community, and that's the most important thing. So yes,
I just remember having this conversation with you, and you saying that a few years ago you were doing all this wonderful yoga work and practice, and you weren't supporting yourself in that, and you found ways, and a lot of those ways were business tools to find a way to sustain yourself in order to work in yoga, in mental health. So valuable. And you know, I've got very strong passion for women's life cycles and the menstrual cycle and our rites of passage and how yoga can support us in those. And in order for me to be able to share that, I need to be supported in my own grounding, and something that I've really worked on myself is creating a support network for myself so that I feel held. And that was my reasoning behind creating the Teachers Forum, is that it can be lonely out there, and we need to be able to see other people doing the work that we're doing and understanding us. So maybe a balance between Cathy's business head and my emotional heart.
I think it's a winning combination. No, I think that's important. I think you know, I got to a point where I was giving, and doing as much as I possibly could, thinking that was the right thing to do. And then I realized I was completely depleted of energy, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually very exhausted. And I was a yoga teacher. I mean, what the hell? And so I decided I just needed to tweak my view of what a yoga teacher was. And we all have different views. We all want to teach yoga for very different reasons. And it means something it's very personal journey for each and every one of us. But I wanted to ensure that I could support my family doing something that I was passionate and I loved so much, support my family. And then I realized that I wasn't actually doing that. I was actually giving it everything away, and I wasn't earning any money. And let's face it, money is energy. We need it. We need to survive. We need to support ourselves. And if we can support ourselves, then we're more likely to be able to support our friends, our family, our community. You know, we'll be able to be in a position of strength where we can give back to our community. So that's really important. So it's that ahimsa thing, isn't it? There's be kind to yourself, nurture yourself in order to nurture others. And an aspect of nurturing yourself is to actually you have to earn a great living. You have to look after yourself financially. There's no question about it. We have to pay our bills. So how do we do that and feel like a yoga teacher and feel that we're living that spiritual journey? I mean, how do we do that? So I decided I had to tweak my way of thinking and change that neurological pathway and see the worth in myself, what I had to offer. So I went and did some business, got some business skills, and realized that I could give back and earn a living at the same time doing what I love. So yeah, if I can share that, that's what I would like to do.
Yeah. So our intention is, I know I've mentioned it before, we're going to meet on the 15th. This group that has been continuing for probably the last 2 years has always been on a charitable basis. That is likely to change. It's a huge amount of work to run the Teachers Forum. I've done it on a voluntary basis for the last 2 years. And we have raised a huge amount of money for shelter, which I'm very, very proud of. And on the 15th, we will once again, and I will continue to do that. That will continue to be a part of what the offering is. This Wednesday, bring your tenner or pay it to me by PayPal, and then I can get it doubled and given to shelter. And we'll chat about where we are with our yoga businesses, have a little bit of mantra meditation to go along with the mix. And going forward, Cathy and I are looking for ways to actively support the people in our community who see yoga as a key part of who they are and what they would like to do. As you know, when people say, what do you do? I'm a yoga teacher. I run a yoga business. If that's you, come and join us, meet us, get to know who we are. And then Yoga Teachers North London and Enfield can be a real supportive hand-holding in a COVID way.
I like it.
Community. Oh,
yes.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a great, I love this mudra actually. This is one of my favorite mudras, and this is one of my favorite mudras as well.
And it's how you learn about the heart as well.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
If you do that, which is the right side, the left side or the right side, one side has got a little bit more room than the other to beat. But I quite like this. We should use this.
Yeah.
This is us together.
Yeah. Oh. So we're holding our hearts together, and
Absolutely.
we look forward to meeting. You know, there are over 1,000 members of the North London and Enfield group and Bonnet. So how many of you would like to join us? We'll give everyone space to tell their story and be with us. Thank you.
Marvelous.